Hey everyone, today I want to take a closer look at two verses in the Tanakh that messianics always try to attribute to a New Testament Messiah. Shalom everybody, welcome to Beit Tefillah. With a lot of people coming away from the New Testament these days as they find out that it's nothing but nonsense and a book about idolatry, we still hear many people trying to validate their fictional Messiah with verses from the Tanakh that they are absolutely positive are proof. Some of this involves some pretty absurd or bizarre thinking. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at a couple of examples. And the first one I want to examine is a verse from the book of Proverbs that asks, what is his son's name? And all the messianics are going to jump up and say, see, that's talking about Jesus or Yeshua. That's his son's name. But let's go ahead and read that in Proverbs 30, verse 4. Who has gone up to the heavens and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fists? Who has bound the waters in a garment? Who established all the ends of the earth? What is his name and what is his son's name, if you know it? Now let me start out by giving you a better translation of the very last part of that verse, which I just read as most Bibles read as, if you know it. The Hebrew actually translates more accurately to surely you know, which is making more of a statement than asking a question. Sort of like, well, obviously you should know that. So let's look at that part of the end of the passage, and we'll use a little bit of logic. First of all, I'm sure we all know the following verse from Tanakh in Hosea 11:1. Where Elohim had said, when Yisra'el was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. When Yisra'el was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. Now Elohim told that to the prophet Hosea, and that was written somewhere around 750 BC, give or take a few years. But we need to think way back to that time, back to when King Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs, that nowhere, not anywhere, was anyone ever told about Elohim having a son named Jesus or Yeshua. Nowhere in the Tanakh were we told that, but I just want to talk about that time a little bit earlier to make my point. So when Solomon wrote, what is his son's name, surely you know, how would all the people have answered King Solomon? Well, they said, hey, don't call me Shirley. No, but would they have said, his name is Jesus or Yeshua? No. That's even more absurd than the Shirley thing, right? They would not have said that. They would have all said Yisra'el. Why would anyone have ever replied Jesus or Yeshua if he had never been mentioned? That's absolutely insane. Yet this is what the Christian messianic interpretation is of that verse and what all the messianics say it is. It's just absolutely bizarre that they would come to that conclusion. That they would take a name from supposedly 800 years in the future when their idol was born and go way back in time and slap it on a verse and say that was his son's name. That would be hilarious if it wasn't so sad. That's completely bizarre. So the question presented from Proverbs 34, what is his name and what is his son's name, surely you know? The more obvious answer to that question would be, his name is Yehovah and his son's name is Yisra'el. And everyone back then and today should surely know that. Let's go ahead and have a look at another verse we have something similar happening with, from Psalm 2:12. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way. And the Messianics will all say, see, it says kiss the Son. As a matter of fact, they even use that verse as one of their collections of proofs of their Messiah being prophesied in the Tanakh. It's hysterical. So what, like we're all supposed to give little Jesus a big sloppy kiss or he's going to be all angry with us or something? First of all, the Hebrew word that was translated to kiss comes from the word nashak, which more accurately means to arm, or in this case in context, arm yourself. And the word bar, which was used for son, comes from the Aramaic translation of the word bar. Okay? Not the Hebrew. Aramaic bar means son. The Hebrew word for son is ben. The Hebrew translation for the word bar is purity. So, Psalm 2:12 should read, arm yourself with purity, lest he, or Elohim, be angry and you perish from the way. And so often we hear a lot of these messianics throwing around this verse as their so-called proof, and the translation is so far off that it doesn't even resemble what the original psalmist wrote. You know, I want to say something to anyone who's messianic and a Torah keeper, even though it's an oxymoron. If you read the Torah, if you read the Torah portions, you claim to be a Torah keeper, think back to all the commandments that Elohim gave us in his Torah. Now ask yourself a question. If the way to eternal life was through some kind of New Testament Messiah in the future, wouldn't Elohim have given us at least one single commandment pertaining to that? Try to find one commandment out of all the mitzvot in Torah where Elohim would have at least gave us a command like, hey, in the future, you better listen to this boy of mine who's, if you're going to get into heaven, you better be listening to him. Sorry. Regarding that, let's hear Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I have called the heavens and the earth as witnesses today against you. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore you shall choose life so that you live, both you and your seed. Now that verse is near the end of the Torah, near the end of Deuteronomy, of course, where Moses was doing sort of a recap for the children of Israel of all the commands shortly before his death, because he wasn't allowed to enter that promised land, right? But anyway, we are told to choose life by choosing to keep the terms of Elohim's covenant in his Torah, and there is zero mention in there anywhere of needing to believe in or accept any kind of future Messiah to be able to choose life. Nothing. But what we wind up seeing today are a lot of messianics who actually have nothing in the Tanakh prophesying about their New Testament idol. They get frustrated and they just try to paste him in different places in really awkward and silly ways, and wow, do they make a complete mess out of everything. And there's a lot more cases of this happening, obviously, than these just two examples I used in this video, but I get asked a lot of questions about that verse in Proverbs 30, so I wanted to do a standalone video that mostly dealt with that. Okay? Well, that's all I have for today for this short video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and being a part of Beit Tefillah. Please sub to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Please give it a thumbs up, as it really helps us out with YouTube's algorithms, and thanks for all who have done that. Shout out and shalom to all my brothers and sisters that are truly Yisra'el and are scattered worldwide in the dispersion. Everybody be blessed and have a wonderful day.